I'm going to turn it over to my friend Gus, and I'm going to let him introduce himself and who he is, what his role is. And by the way, I should mention one other thing. So I don't know who's Batman and who's Robin, but the Gus's partner, John Manos, who is also a co-regional commander in Chicago. He's currently on a plane coming back from Costa Rica. And I don't know if he's on or not, but these two guys are, I mean, they're really extraordinary, and they serve as the blueprint for what we all should be. So Gus, without further ado, please take it away.
Well, thank you, John. More like the Blues Brothers. We're trying to figure out who's who, but thank you for that, and welcome to all. The next segment here is really designed to help you become proactive Archons. Very important, and we're trying to stand on the shoulders of others before you who have kind of set the groundwork to make ourselves visible, to be engaged. So this segment's going to be basically giving you ideas. Kind of jot these ideas down. You can use them. You should try to log so many hours. You know, everybody's got so many hours in the day that they can dedicate to work, to family, etc. But being an Archon is extremely important. You are the best of the best. You heard John say that. It's kind of like the Top Gun. You are the best of the best. So you should try to allocate so much time a week that you can dedicate to the Archon cause. Very important, because if it's not on paper someplace, out of sight, out of mind. So you occupy a very valuable seat. So we ask you to think about that. And John had mentioned earlier, look, we can have some fun at this at the same time. You know, when you talk about boot camp, you think of something like this, right? But John hit on a couple key words. He said leaders, special forces. So, you know, when we look at this, say boot camp, you know, there are a lot of similarities here. You know, Archon is also interpreted as being a leader. And you see in the right-hand corner, these men here are leaders. They are also a band of brothers, right? They also are defenders of liberty. So you begin to see the similarities. Here's the class of 2021, right? Defenders of the faith. We're a band of brothers. We are Archons. We are leaders. A lot of similarities. You are the best of the best. New York is no longer, and the patriarchate is no longer picking two per metropolis or district. They are going cross country, and they are saying, look, we're going to take 20 or 22, whatever it may be, the best of the best. So think about that as an Archon. Very, very, very important. So, you know, when we say we defend and protect the patriarchate, you know, what does that mean? We all know what the word defend means, but think about this. Our job is to protect, to shield, to safeguard our holy and great Mother Church, to keep secure from danger and attack. That is our job as Archons. We are the last line of defense. Something to always keep in mind. So you may say, well, all right, so what can I do? What can I do as an Archon? And that's what this segment is here. It's put together to help you create some ideas. Don't wait to be asked. You know, Rocky said that last year. It's a great quote. Don't wait to be asked. You are self-starters, and that's how you got to where you're at. So what are you going to do? We need to get the word out. It's very, very important. We as Archons need to know the issues, because when you walk around with your badge and your lapel pin, there are people that are going to come up to you at your parish and they're going to ask you questions. So we definitely need to know the issues. We need to be visible. We need to be engaged. We took an affirmation basically assuring that we would do these things. So here are some of the ideas that we want to pass along to you. So keep an open mind. New York is our focal point. New York does a tremendous amount of work, more than probably you know. We are engaged with New York, and we see what they do, not only on a national level, but on an international level. So we in the field, look, we're the foot soldiers. We are an extension of New York. We don't operate in silos. You know, it's not the metropolis of San Francisco. It's not the metropolis of Atlanta. We are archons under the umbrella of the ecumenical patriarchate out of New York. So again, we are the foot soldiers in the field helping New York. So when we're watching New York and we're trying to follow their lead, you need to follow their lead. You need to stay in touch. Okay, we're an extension. So when we see our national commander traveling not only nationally, but internationally here at Oxford, promoting the archons, defending the patriarchate, getting the word out, we at the district, outside the districts, the foot soldiers, hey, why can't we do the same to follow their lead? Again, under one umbrella, the archons of the ecumenical patriarchate. So some of the metropolis have gone to local universities and said, look, we can put on a religious freedom presentation there, kind of like what the national commander has done, like what the National Council promotes. So we can do that. And it's amazing how much interest you begin to see. People are thirsty, wanting to know more about what's going on at the ecumenical patriarchate. And you'll see at the university levels, universities that you've attended, schools that you could go to and promote on a basis, like I'm an archon, I represent the ecumenical patriarchate. But here there are more than just Orthodox Christians. Again, we are also fighting for religious freedom as a whole. So there are people there who are Christian, who are non-Christians that came to participate. Another important element is the younger adults. They have a thirst. We are seeing they have a thirst for going out there and learning more about what the archons are. What are people doing to protect the liberties, the religious liberties? It's really amazing what people don't know what the archons are doing and what's going on in Constantinople. So it's our job as archons to get out there to get the word out. You have to know the facts. Now, here are some things that are going on. Some of the local archons have taken initiatives, which we're expecting you to do as well, and go out and put lectures together. So people can, again, learn the plight of the archons, what we're all about. Take advantage of events. There are local events that go on in our communities, like the Fall of Constantinople. It's obviously a yearly event. We have theologians as archons who will actually take advantage, coordinate within your metropolis, within your regional commanders, and put together a religious freedom presentation under the umbrella of the archons of the ecumenical patriarchate, and talk to the people about the archons, what we're doing, how we can make a difference, how they can help make a difference. Very, very important. And I will tell you that every time we put out these requests, we fill the hall. There are no empty seats. It's very important. You know, here's another element. You know, St. Andrew is obviously our patron saint, right? We celebrate it every year. November 29th is the Vespers and the 30th is the actual feast day. Every archon in your parish, you should go there and talk to your priest and maybe put on a religious presentation, if you will. You know, there are certain metropolises that at the Vespers, there will be an archon who will get up there in the congregation, because you have everybody's attention. They talk about the archons. During the coffee hour, you will be amazed how many people will come up to you as a speaker and ask you questions. And that's why it's so important to know the facts, because the questions run from one end of the spectrum to the other. And we'll get into that in a second. But again, be prepared. Have all of the answers ready. It's very, very important. Another place you can go to, AHEPA. We went out there and we made a presentation to AHEPA, and again, with tremendous response. It was basically a standing room only convention that they put together, that we were invited to after some legwork. And here you'll see archons from different jurisdictions using each other's specialty, their connections, to get into so the archons can have a presence, be visible. So there's nothing wrong with working with your regional commanders, going out and going to other jurisdictions. If somebody has a specialty or a talent or a networking connection to help you get out, to get the word out. You know, other archons out there take it upon themselves, working with the regional commanders to put on religious presentations with other organizations. Again, we want to be visible. Other theologians, They take advantage of certain issues that may be out there to put a symposium together so they can get the word out. Florida recently did something down there, standing room only. Now, this is all pre-pandemic, and we'll get into post-pandemic in a second. But you can see by the people that attend these things, they're interested. They want to know. Archons are the last line of defense. There is no one else protecting the religious rights of the ecumenical patriarchate except you. You are the last line of defense. That's it. That's it. Here you have a community that got together with the clergy, very important element, a working partner with the Archons. The Archons and the community got together to have a community type presentation on religious freedom. Very, very well attended. Here's another aspect that's very important to Archons as leaders, right? Is our young adults. This is a very, very important element. This is the next generation of leaders. So some of the metropolis said, look, we now need to go out and begin to educate our young adults. And this presentation, again, we went there to tell them about the 5 key issues. This was probably the most engaging exchange of ideas that we had, because the young adults are not afraid to ask the questions. They're not afraid to ask the questions that the adults at the other presentations won't get up and ask. They'll usually ask the questions, they'll come around after the presentation, and they'll ask the hard questions. These young adults asked right away. 2 questions they said to us right away. How much money do you have to give to be an Archon? Perception becomes reality. And how come there are no women Archons? These are the questions that these kids, I call them kids, you know, at my age now, they're all kids. They're young adults, professionals. These are the questions that we have to be prepared to answer. We have to change the perception in the young adults on what an Archon is. They had no idea what an Archon is. They thought the Archon is you gave money and you got a badge of honor, what John talked about. Well, that's not what the Archons are about. And we are beginning to see this transition, and we're staying in touch with these young adults. They're beginning to see this transition that the Archons are more than that the Archons are the last line of defense. Very interesting. So we took it a step further down. You've got the young adults, then you've got Goya. We need to start working on that generation as well. So again, ideas that you as individual Archons, take it upon yourself. You're self-starters. Don't wait for anybody to call you and say, hey, let's do a thing with the y'all group. No, you come up with the idea. Talk to your regional commander. Share the ideas with us. We'll give you some information later, but we're here to help you. We've been through this. We've learned some of the bumps that we've taken, but we can help you get through these. They're very productive. I say that with humility. We reached out to the younger set. Okay, so we had these kids at Fenari. We want them to know what an Archon is. What does this badge mean? What is this? They don't know what this is. You walk around and they have no idea. But the only way to pique their interest was to get down to their level. Okay, so when we started to tell them, look, we have the police. If you get in trouble, who do you call? Yeah, if your mom and dad, if somebody's coming into your house, who do you call? Well, if somebody comes into your house and tells you you cannot do your cross, that you cannot pray, don't you dare wear that cross around your neck. Who's going to protect your rights? It's the Archon. And believe it or not, we saw their eyes completely focus on us at that point because they got it. They got it. Again, something you as Archons, be creative, think outside the box. This is a new era of Archons. You are expected to be active and to come up with these kind of ideas. And I'll tell you, at the end of the day, you're going to feel so good about it because you're making a difference. Stay visible. In certain towns, we have Greek independent parades, the Hellenic parades. Get your nose in there. Find out who the chairperson is. Get your Archons together and walk the street. Get out there and let people know that the Archons are alive and well. Some of these Archons, we had publications from New York, and we went out into the crowd. It's kind of like we're like politicians almost. We're handing out brochures, the Rocky cards, as we're walking down Michigan Avenue. I mean, and people are looking at this. These people are beginning to see that the Archons have a cause. And on the back, you always see archons.org. Archons.org begins to make a difference. Think about going outside the Greek church per se. There are other Orthodox churches that are within our patriarchate who are Archons. Reach out to them. You'd be surprised how they welcome us in to hear about the religious freedom issues. We want to make sure that we're inclusive with all of our churches on what we're doing and who we are. You know, another great achievement of the Archons, and again, we say this with humility, we're talking here amongst Archons. Individual Archons, under the guidance of Stephan Jorgensen, you know, individual Archons took it upon themselves to get 58 religious freedom resolutions passed in 46 states. 93% of the US population. Think about that. To try to get a religious freedom resolution passed in any type of political structure, like the House or whatever, is extremely difficult. But 58 have been passed because of our individual Archons taking it upon themselves to make this happen. You know, in one of these districts, one state, we could not get a resolution passed. We finally gave up hope. Well, an Archon stepped up, individual Archon stepped up, an army of one stepped, and he got it done. He got it done. We can make a difference. All right, you're going to say, look, I see all this. Where do I start? It's so much going on. But so we want to, let's take baby steps. How do we start? Here's how you can start. Sit down and go to your local priest. You heard John say, and correctly, and John, you missed one part. The regional commanders also have to sign off on that application. So, not that we take that personal, but we're look.
That's right.
But regional commanders will not and should not sign off on an application either, and we won't. And I say this, we won't sign off on an application unless we feel that that person is willing to step up and do what we're asking you to do here. If they're not willing to, we won't sign off on it. But anyhow, you heard John say that the priest supported you, your local priest supported you, so he never would have signed your application or your credentials. So go to your local priest and say, look, I'm a new Archon. I want to be involved. I would like to do a religious freedom presentation at our local parish. Good place to start. Talk to your regional commander. Try to sit down with your metropolitan. You know, there's harmony in working together. We're one organization, the Archons. Go to your clergy, go to your metropolitan, and sit down and have a conversation. Say, look, here's what we'd like to do as Archons within our metropolis. And you'd be surprised the kind of cooperation that you can get. You know, we've asked the regional commanders, your regional commanders, and by the way, we hope that by now you have made contact with your regional commanders. If not, we ask you to please introduce yourself. You probably have done that already, or they've introduced themselves. But get to know your regional commanders, a very important element. But regional commanders have been asked to do a yearly Archon business meetings, which will allow you to help plan for the coming year on what you can do to make a difference. And what can come out of these type of meetings are really extraordinary. Programs come together that can make a difference in your metropolis, okay? I'm gonna show you the next slide here. It's an older slide, but here, of course, Metropolitan Yaakov of blessed memory from Chicago. But I show you this because I want you to concentrate on Judge Bazanellos there. New York has a lot of tools available to you as a new Archon. Use those tools. The judge was gracious enough to come out to Chicago and give a religious freedom presentation to a group. That went a long way. People respected the judge's time. It gave an excellent presentation, and we thank the judge for that. But the purpose of the slide is to tell you there's no reason for you not to get involved. New York has supplied us a great amount of tools, which we'll talk about in a second. John Zavisanos, he's a busy trial lawyer. He's a good guy, and he also came out to do a religious presentation. Again, all on their dime. He gave an excellent presentation, and this happened to be during the feast day of St. Andrew. And John talks about the Turkish charter schools if you think that we've got issues elsewhere, when you start talking about the charter schools and the influence that they have here in the United States, I tell you what, it really wakes you up. It really wakes you up. A lot of our archons have great connections with political leaders. Again, we are a networking. There's nothing wrong with picking up the phone, talking to your regional commander, or talking to an archon that you may know, and saying, look, I know that you know Senator such and such. We'd like to do a religious freedom presentation. Could you ask the senator or the congressman to come in and give a speech? Give a present. You'd be surprised how many will say yes, they will come. Again, a lot of the programs here, you need to talk to your regional commander about. You need to call us about it. We're willing to help you. But I want to again remind you, we're not operating here out of the metropolis of Chicago Archons or Atlanta. We are under the flag of the Ecumenical Patriarchate out of New York as one group. And then all of a sudden, what happened? Pandemic hit, right? The world closed. Everything stopped. Persecution of Christians did not stop. It continues to go on. If you read the Archon, the website on the persecution, every day there's something going on where Christians are being persecuted. So again, New York took the lead. They said, look, you know what? We're going to enter the Zoom era. So their New York starts with the Zoom, with the National Council, with the regional commanders. They're staying in touch. They're engaged. Okay. Very, very, very important. So what did the metropolis do? We follow their lead. So some of the metropolis said, look, New York has given us their leadership. So then we as a metropolis said, you know what? We're the foot soldiers. We're out here. Let the foot soldiers do the same thing. We're learning from them. So we started to follow their lead, and we started to do Zoom meetings with the local troops. Okay, with you, with archons, and what came out of it was great, was very productive. We started to have virtual presentations, like the fall of Constantinople, which we had one of our archons, a theologian, do it. Now we're doing it virtually. It turned out to be a great presentation. Our Archon National Commander was one of the panelists. We had Dr. Padroma. We had great panelists that came in, and this was recorded. And it was placed on the Archon website, so people can watch it whenever. It's something that came out of staying in touch, the virtual conversations. Very, very important. So Denver then, so the metropolis of San Francisco, Denver decides, you know what? We're going to get together with some of our archons, and we're going to start planning for next year. So again, they took the initiative to get together, to stay connected, metropolis of New Jersey, even though there's a pandemic going on, they stayed in touch with their clergy, with our archbishop, planning what they're going to do next. We weren't stagnant because of the pandemic. When things began to ease, you saw the Florida archons out of Atlanta, the metropolis of Atlanta, but in Florida, they took it upon themselves to have a gathering, spreading the word. They weren't going to allow the pandemic to stop what we needed to do. Very, very important. We need to be creative. Recently, Missouri allowed us to have a clergy lady, even during the pandemic. What we did was 48 hours before anybody attended, you had to have a COVID-free test. Okay, we had almost 400 people there. Everybody had to check in with a COVID test. One person came in, had a positive test. They were sent home. Out of the 400 people, nobody came down with COVID. It allowed the archons to do a religious freedom presentation at the clergy lady. Look at everybody looking down at the tables. They are looking at the brochures, the publications that New York sent us. We pick up the phone. Within 2 days, we had information sent to us from New York through Krista and John Mandala, sent us all of the publications that we needed. People, I want to read it. They want to be engaged. Look at the questions being asked. And again, look at the people looking down. They're reading all of these brochures and the information that we have to offer. New York has the tools for you to be a good archon, to be an exemplary archon. It's up to you what you're going to do with it. After this boot camp, we pray that you just don't say it was nice or whatever, and we don't see you anymore. That's not, you're not living up to the affirmation that you took there in New York. You need to be active archons. You need to get involved. When His All Holiness came to Indiana, And we thank the New York office, the Archons, and the Archbishop and the Archdiocese for helping us make this happen. We got Archons together, and we wanted to be with His All Holiness. We wanted to take a picture with His All Holiness, to show unity, to show His All Holiness that we are an extension of New York and we support His All Holiness. And we think he was appreciative seeing us there, but even more so, here's what's important about that. The more you do, the more things happen. You know, they say, you know, good luck. Well, you get more luck the more you're involved. Look at the people that attended. Look at what this gentleman, and we have no idea who he is. He's from out of state, came in for the event. Look at what he's looking at. He's looking at information that New York sent us as a tool about the Archons. There were hundreds of people there, and I truly believe that these people, they took these books home and they know more about the Archons. Big example, and we thank New York for that, for their constant assistance in helping the Archons. Here's another thing that happened out of this. Something good came out of this. We went to the St. Basilica at Notre Dame, and we made a connection with the Religious Freedom Department at Notre Dame. They were interested in the Archons. Who are the Archons? We're beginning a dialogue with them, hoping to do a religious freedom presentation that we will hand off to New York. Because once we get our program together here, we want to get the blessings from New York, from the National Council. So again, we're working in harmony with New York to make things better. But can you imagine if we were able to do presentations at Notre Dame and University of Illinois and ACLU, you know, UCLA, the possibilities are enormous. So again, kind of tailing this down a little bit. So where does all this stuff start? All of these things started with an idea someplace, right? Somebody had an idea and it formulated all of these different programs. You need to think outside the box. We ask you to do that. And just recently, you know, the regional commanders out of Pittsburgh with the assistance of San Francisco, they come up with a program that we're still vetting because we still need to present it to New York. It's called the Archon Sprout Initiative. Great idea where it's gearing towards our young adults and teaching them the goals of the Archons and the Archon's role. Thinking outside the box. We welcome this kind of stuff. This is what keeps us energized. You know, branding. Branding is, you know, with the Archons have started to brand. Again, you don't see a Metropolis of Chicago or Metropolis of Atlanta. What you see at archons.org. Branding is important, especially the young adults. If people keep seeing archons.org on hats, on coffee mugs, on these skull caps, and all of these different things, people begin to say after a while, you know, I'm going to Google this. What is this? Well, let's take a look at this. I mean, look at this. These kids are wearing these skull caps around with Archon logos, and on the back here, you know, here you got this thing. You know, you guys see this? It says here Archons, and on the back, archons.org, right? Yeah, and Rocky's got that. I might put that on too. So we also did water bottles. We did water bottles. So the Funari kids, the kids who walk around, we did this for like 3 years. You can't tell me there's not a water bottle sitting in somebody's car or somebody's house, and someone is going to go ahead and they're going to Google archons.org. But it's up to us. You're only going to get one shot at this. It's up to us now to make that work. So if they go to archons.org and they don't hear from us or we don't do anything, then we're going to lose all of this synergy. It's up to you to keep the synergy going. You know, the Lighthouse program is a great program. And the Archons, some of the Archons said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to provide them with mood boards. So when they go to college, these young kids go to college, they're not just going to have a regular cork board that's rectangular. They're going to have one in the sign of a cross. And if you turn it sideways, which some of them have done, it's an X. And on the back of this, it says archons.org in big stenciled letters. It can make a difference. It can make a difference. You know, part of our obligation is to go to the Patriarchate. That's part of our provisions. We really encourage that, to visit His All Holiness there. It's really truly an awesome experience. Our job, winding down, look, is to protect and promote the Ecumenical Patriarchate, as John said. That's our job. That's our job. You are the best of the best. Wear your badge with honor. This is a call to duty. Log your hours, put in the time, make a difference. You are the best of the best. I will share with you, we haven't shared this with our national commander yet, or the National Council, but there's a renewed interest in becoming Archons. In Chicago alone, I'm pleasantly surprised to say that we have 12 individuals who have contacted us wanting to become Archons or wanting to know more. This is a phenomena that since we've been regional commanders, I've never seen before. You're sitting in a very valuable space. Please don't waste it. Make us proud. Make us proud. Make us proud. We put our information up here. If you ever have any questions, stay in touch with your regional commanders. But if you have any questions on this segment, there's my name down there, my phone number. My good buddy and regional commander John Manos, as John Zavasano said, he's on a plane. He wanted to be here so bad, but John is very instrumental, and we've been blessed. We're blessed to have John as one of our regional commanders.